Alrighty, good day mates and ahoy mateys, welcome to the Salty Paris Vegas vlog. So I had intended on doing this through live recordings on the trip, obviously, like you'd expect of a vlog, but I didn't quite plan it through well enough, so pretty much all the audio I recorded is just completely unusable. So instead you're going to get the sort of director's cut commentary version of the trip, I guess. We're going to cut through photos and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and do this as close to one take as possible so that it, feels at least like a live vlog. But yeah, so I at least know what I need to improve for next time. So that's the important bit, right? That next trip you'll get actual proper vlogs. So of course let's get the big thing out of the way here. I'm a fighting game player. Evo was the important bit of the trip, right? So first of all, I don't have a lot of photos of Evo itself because they didn't allow cameras into the venue. So I've got my phone photos, but I wasn't particularly happy with my phone camera, so there's not a lot of them. And it really annoys me that they didn't allow cameras in the venue. I would have really liked to take photos. Such is life. My tournament run was kind of interesting, psychologically, as a post-tournament analysis, because so I entered a lot of games at Evo this time. I entered 5 games, and I did really badly in all of them. I went 1-2 in KOF, 1-2 in Marvel 3, 0-2 in Street Fighter 4, 0-2 in Street Fighter 6, and 1-1 drop in Vampire Savior. So it's actually my worst major performance ever. I used to be a lot worse at fighting games than I am right now, but I still never had a performance this bad. It happens, Evo is a different beast, but logically from that you'd go, well, just enter less games. Previous Evos you've been really hyper-focused on your main games, so maybe you should just go back to that, that seemed to work. But the issue is, I kind of already was doing that. Of those games, I entered Street Fighter 4, Marvel 3, and Vampire Savior just for fun. I knew I wasn't going to do very well. I just wanted to, play people, see how the game was internationally, because those brackets are so much smaller that, you get right into the meat of things kind of thing. So, I knew I was going to be doing bad. It was just for fun, right? But what happened is I did unexpectedly really bad in Street Fighter 6. I'd been putting quite a bit of time in practicing Street Fighter 6, and so I wanted to try and at least get out of pools again, repeat my performance from last year. And I just did really badly. I went 0-2. And so because of that, I kind of started pushing pressure on myself to perform in these other games. I was like, well, I didn't perform in Street Fighter 6. I have to perform in something, So these games that were just fun went from just fun to, well, I've got to do well in at least one of them, Or this whole thing was pointless, kind of thing. So, it's interesting. How am I going to avoid that issue in the future? It's basically as soon as the event was over, I was really easy to look back and go, well, I knew that was going to happen. That was the case. That was what I planned for. But in the moment, it's difficult. Yeah, I'm going to have to do some thinking. Talk about it with a therapist, I think. See how to maybe get around it. Obviously, I could just go back to only entering the main games. But I feel like if I just entered Street Fighter 6 and went 0-2, I would have felt bad, just as bad, but in a different way. I would have thought, well, I should have entered these other games for fun, because I didn't get to play much Street Fighter 6. Grass is always green on the other side, right? Love to give it a think. If anyone has any ideas for psychological, coping for that situation, let me know in the comments. But so, getting into the specifics, my round 1 KOF opponent was pretty close. I'm sorry, I've forgotten their name. Game 1, we got down to Anchor versus Anchor. And they managed to quick max a normal hitting my Shadow Strike armor and block and punish, and that was pretty cool. So it was a close game, but they pulled off something sick. I'd like to see it. Losers, I bodied someone completely, and then I got obliterated by Dandy J. His point Yashiro just ran through me game 1, and most of game 2 as well. He played Yashiro very hyper aggressive rushdown. Most of the Australian Yashiros I played against were, sort of footsies, fast seed, stand CD, they space with the rush punch stuff and back off kind of thing. Whereas he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna go in, I'm gonna press buttons and it's up to you to deal with it. And it really just threw me on the back foot completely. So I just got obliterated. And then game 2 I finally managed to get through Yashiro, and it was just, obviously it's Clark next, so yeah. Ooh. See, it wasn't even remotely close. There was no chance of me winning that one. So Street Fighter 6, I lost round 1 to a solid Blanca player. It was 0-2. I was pretty nervous against the Blanca. I got hit by a lot of slides. I was still in a bit of KOF mode. He did a command grab, I reacted, and I tried to punish with Hop C. And so I just did a rising jump medium punch, and it did technically punish. It did punish the command grab. Not quite optimal though. I could have maybe punished a bit harder. But yeah. I interrupted Blanca Ball, so I was pretty happy about that. But I could have done better. But I'm not that sad about that loss. He was a decent player. Made it to winners finals of the pool. What's interesting though is the second loss. I lost to an Akuma in losers right after that, as I mentioned in 102. So this Akuma, obviously, he'd also lost his first game to be in this position in losers, right? It was a close game, 1-2 here. He played really well. He got me with a very strong shimmy at the end and just obliterated me. And so I left in sort of a haze. This was a different kind of depression after a bracket, right? It wasn't salt, I wasn't angry, I was just kind of not lucid, I guess. But the Akuma then didn't drop a game for the rest of the pool. He went 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0 to get out of the pool and losers, including beating that Blanca, losers finals of the pool. So I don't know how he got in losers round one of the pool. It's really interesting. I mean, that's what makes Evo different, right? It must have just been Evo jitters that caused him to, do something unexpected against his other opponent. But he was definitely a good player. I have no qualms about losing to him. It's just, in the moment, you feel like, oh, I went 0-2, I lost to someone who was in the 0-1 bracket. You don't think about the fact that people can have major jitters like that. Like, I was in losers round 1 of my pool last year, and I made it out, These things happen. Evo is a different beast. So yeah, it's interesting case to think about there as well. Not getting salty just because of the score, because it's the people that matter, right? So Street Fighter 3 and Marvel 3, Street Fighter 4 and Marvel 3 went about how you'd expect, as I mentioned. I'm still learning Seth. I played Zangief back in the day, but I don't want to play Zangief anymore. Seth's really fun, but yeah, I'm still learning, so it didn't go great. And my Marvel 3 Morrigan, I played Marvel 3 for its entire life, right? But I was a dumbass low-tier hero back in the day, so I'm new to Morrigan. I'm new to, actually playing the game. I was just in a character crisis entirely when the game was still, real and alive, so it doesn't count. I didn't really play the game. I'm still learning now, so yeah. I got beat up by someone who's playing Jill and Beautiful Joe on their team, so that was really cool, getting to see, the cool sort of stuff you can do with different, characters you don't see that often. I got hit by a lot of stuff that, you never see, because no one's ever seen Jill, right? And even if you had, I did actually do a bit of scouting for that opponent, so I knew they were a Jill player, but, actually watching it in a VOD doesn't, prepare you for actually playing against the character, right? You still... Just knowing what can happen doesn't prepare you for what will happen. Vampire Savior was pretty funny, though. So they were running on the cool, the CRT Supergun setups that Third Strike had. Let's say one of those. And they had 2 of them to start with, apparently. But someone broke one of them. And so when I got there for my pool, they only had 1 setup for the entirety of this pool. So it took 50 minutes for me to play my first game. After it got to 30 minutes in, I was like, well, I'm committed at this point. I've got to play. I'm starving, but I've been here this long. I want to play some Vampire Savior. So round 1, I played BB Hood. I won that one pretty clean. I was playing Morrigan. I forgot to mention that. Beat the BB Hood pretty cleanly, and then I got to play Action Hank's Fish, and I just got demolished. It was really cool because, I haven't played many games against someone who's because Vampire Savior is a very the defensive option of push blocking being so technical means that when you play against someone who knows what they're a strong player, it's a very different experience because there's someone who can't push block at all, then there's someone who can push block sometimes, and there's someone who can push block decently well, but they're still not really ready to capitalize off it. And at the very top, you've got people who can push block very well and are ready for the fact they're going to push block. So I was push blocking pretty decently against him. I was really happy with how well I was push blocking actually, but it was still a lot of oh wow, I push blocked there. It was never I knew I'm going to push block here, so here's how I'm prepared to react when the push block happens. It was oh wow, cool, I push block. That was cool. Whereas he was always I'd get push block and he was immediately ready to press a button to cover space kind of thing. It was exciting. But then I went and looked at the bracket after that and was nah, I'm hungry, I'm cool. I played 2 games of Vampire Savior, I'm content. I'm gonna go get dinner. So I DQ'd. In non-tournament stuff, I played a lot of City of the Wolves and I played a lot of 2X KO. So 2X KO was fun, but it was I feel like it was the same sort of experience as a 2D fighting game player at the end of a party, a bit drunk, playing Tekken, You're you're pressing buttons, it's a fighting game, you've got experience with fighting games, you're not really learning anything though, you're just kind of pressing buttons and seeing what's happening. So, I had fun, I was playing Alawi, I did some cool tentacle stuff, I feel like I learned an okay-ish combo, but I just didn't really understand much about the game. Not being able to control assist timing and thus not being able to control handshake tags really well. Like, there's just so much of the game that I didn't get to properly learn. So I feel like I have zero understanding about the game whatsoever. Still somewhat excited to see the alpha and actually try the game a bit, but yeah, for now it's just like, well, I know nothing. It looks kind of cool. I'm willing to believe it's cool, but don't know shit. Whereas City of the Wolves, I felt like I was really scratching in, because, it's just a 1v1 game, right? And they had, like, a free play section where you could go in and you just play for, like, 15 minutes, and then, as many games, doing whatever you wanted. Whereas 2xGo was, you get to play 2 games, that's it. No, like, training moding or anything. No, like, you don't get to try stuff in that situation, right? And yeah, City of the Wolves is a really cool feeling, because it has just so many mechanics that, like, I was kind of playing, like, I'd go through and I'd learn, for instance, feints. I remembered feints from the game, and I was like, oh wow, this seems like really strong. Like offense feels like it's going to be really oppressive in this game. And then after a little bit of that, I learned something new about defense as well, and I'd be like, wow, like defense seems really strong in this game. It seems like it's going to be painful to open someone up. So I sort of went back and forth with like offense and defense both equally seeming like they're going to be fucked up. So that's really cool. I'm really really excited for that. I was playing Terry. They had a like separate queue where you could there's the free play one, and then there was one where it was like a challenge queue. So like you sit down, you get kicked off as soon as you lose. If you win 3 in a row, you get a button. So I won this macro button. Can't really zoom in because the lighting is back here. Sorry. Yeah, macro. It's just the Soma button with the macro on it. It's not a stick or anything. It's just like actually printed on the bottom. Yeah, I won. I was really nervous because I had to queue for so long, and then I won in 6 rounds straight. It was pretty funny. The lady was like, wow, that was quick. You got somewhere to be. My last opponent came up wearing a Mark of the Wolf shirt, and I was like, oh, fuck, I won 2, and then I'm going to lose like this. This guy's going to know stuff. It's not going to work. And then the lady's like wiping down, sanitizing the stick, right? Because they were doing it in between every game. I made it run a bit longer, but it was good that they were doing that. And as she's doing that, he walks up and is like, oh, don't worry, I use pad. And as soon as he said that, I was like, nah, this is free. This is free. Easiest game of my life. I've got this button in the bag. And sure enough, I did. Hell yeah, good shit, Paris. I didn't do well in any of the tournaments, but I won that button real quick. I also bought an absolute shit ton of merch from Artist Alley. There was a couple of prints I missed out on because they sold out while I was playing stuff on day 1. So I'm a little sad about that. But for the most part, I was able to get pretty much everything I was after on the day. This is almost all new stuff. There's a lot of MMA. A lot of stuff here. There's a couple of old ones, but yeah, it's pretty much all new stuff, and I'm really content with all of it. I'm gonna have to hang it up somewhere. And yeah, the prints are somewhere around. I'll put a photo of them up. Yeah, it was cool. I'm really glad with pretty much everything I got. I think maybe the only thing I should have done more of was, first of all, the prints I missed, but also maybe some extra kitties from Wave-chan. I'm a big fan of those, and maybe should have got some duplicates to put on my backpack as well, but such is life. They'll be there when I come back, I'm sure. Wave-chan's been around for ages. Yeah, so in terms of complaints about EVO, the only thing I really need to complain about is, first of all, Finals Day was awful in terms of cheating. Everyone's whinged about that. They 100% need to fix that. But the main thing I want to focus on is water. So EVO 2023 had fantastic water availability. There was water refill stations everywhere. They had about 4 of them, 4 refill things at each station. So, they were everywhere. There was never a queue because of that. You could just have as much water as you wanted. It was fantastic. I was so happy with it. I just had plenty of water. I never once felt like I was getting dehydrated, which is something that happens at every con, not just a major, right? And yeah, so I was really happy. And this year really feels like a back step from that. There was only, I think, 3 or 4 spots to refill your water bottle, and they were outside the venue, and they only had 1 each of them, right? They were just a water fountain. There was a secret upstairs one that helped out a bit, but I don't want to give them credit for the secret hidden one that people had to find out about. So there were massive queues, and they were outside the venue, so you have to leave EVO, line up for ages, get your water, and then go back through security. It was terrible. It was a real backstep. I really hope they work on that. I'm going to be skipping 2025 for financial reasons anyway, so, I get to sit back and just observe if they're going to fix the water situation, but I really hope they do. The rest of the venue wasn't that bad. The location was like annoying because it wasn't attached to a casino or a hotel, so everyone was split up everywhere. There were people. I had friends at like 5 different casinos, so you know we couldn't effectively hang out as well as we could in previous years, where everyone was either at Mandalay Bay or the Luxor or Excalibur, right? They're all connected, so it was easy. Bit harder this year, but you know the size kind of felt like it had to be that. I don't know. I don't want to think about that bit too much. I'm not enough of a logic guy. Anyway, I mostly enjoyed Evo. It was pretty fun. There was cool stuff. There were issues. I did badly. That's the Evo summary here. Now we're shifting from fighting game Paris into tourist mode Paris. So if you were just here for fighting game Paris, you know, you can probably just stop watching here. You get to only watch, what is this, like 15 minutes in? So congratulations on your saving time. But I was in America for a bit over 2 weeks. So I was in Vegas for a while as well, almost like 3/4 of the trip. So I ate a lot of food, I did a lot of things. So let's get into that. So the trip starts before we get to Vegas. I fly an absolutely insane route to save money of Perth to Adelaide to Sydney to LA. So after about like 28 hours of either being on a plane or in an airport, I finally landed in LA. I always land in LA for a little bit, so because I've got just so many friends in LA, so I want to spend time there, see them and stuff. So I had one night in LA this time. I went to Daikokuya Ramen in Little Tokyo for dinner, and gonna be honest here, I was a little disappointed by it. It was solid. It had some of the best quality actually meat that I've had in ramen before. But like just the noodles and the broth and all that, it wasn't mind blowing. It was solid. I wasn't upset by it. But this is a place where every other time I've been to Little Tokyo, there's been a line for fucking ages to get into this place, right? So I've had pretty high expectations of Daikokuya, and it was just good, I wouldn't queue up to go in there again, definitely not. And I wouldn't be disappointed if I could just walk in there, but it was fine. Such is life. I also shopped around a bunch in Little Tokyo. Obviously, there's a lot of fun shops there. Just, weeby stuff and traditional Japanese stuff and all the really fun supermarkets and all that. I wasn't going to try to spend much before I got to Vegas. Vegas is a pretty pricey place. But, it was good to have in mind things that I might want to get on my way back. My main little side quest for this trip was a Sanrio thing. Because Little Tokyo has the official Sanrio store and also just every other shop that seems to stock Sanrio stuff. So this is a little bit personal here. So I've had a little bit of trauma with Sanrio because I had a past relationship that went really catastrophic with someone who was into Sanrio. And so every time I've seen, a couple of the big Sanrio characters, I get like a, little twinge, like, kind of like a fight or flight wants to kick in. Which is ridiculous. They're adorable characters. If you look at it objectively, it was completely ridiculous of me to have ever feel any of this. But trauma isn't logical, right? So I kind of decided I'm just going to make new memories with the Sanrio stuff, right? As that relationship fades further and further away, the trauma stays, but the memories are starting to go. So if I just form new memories, I figure, the trauma will go away. It's not Hello Kitty's fault. It's not Kuromi's fault that I dated a bad person who happened to like them, right? So, I'm shopping around. I'm with my friend Wonder Chef, who happened to work at the Sanrio store there, it turns out, so he knew some stuff about Sanrio lore. So I'm like consulting with him about what characters I should try to get into. And, I had some good ideas, but it wasn't until when I got to Evo when I saw a Kuromi Jury sticker that I've now got on my PS4 that I was like, alright, Kuromi looks like a real shithead. I'm a shithead. We're going with Kuromi. So I didn't get most of her stuff until after though. So I caught the Greyhound. I got that return from LA to Vegas because I didn't have any friends who were driving at the times I was going because I was going on a full holiday, right? The way there was mostly fine. The main issue was a pretty annoying one, but it wasn't a deal breaker, was that my ticket assigned me a seat that wasn't on the bus. The bus went to row 13 and my seat on my ticket was row 20. So I'm quite far off the bus. I'm guessing they saw how many seats had been sold and decided to downgrade the bus, and thus I would fit on the bus, but I didn't get the seat that I was meant to have. So I sort of had to, shuffle around a bunch as I'd sit down, and then people would go, "Oh, sorry, you're in my seat," and I go, "Oh, sorry, I don't have a seat assigned," so I'd move around, and someone would go, "Oh, you're in my seat," and I go, "Oh, sorry." It was really fucking annoying, but at least I did eventually get a seat, and so we got to LA eventually. Foolishly, I thought that would be the worst that Greyhound would get for me on this trip, but we'll get to that later. So I stayed at Circus Circus. I think Circus Circus was a really good choice for the event, because Circus Circus was really cheap. The room, and it was actually like just across the street from the venue. It was, I think, about a bit over a kilometer walk. So it was really good in terms of proximity. Every other hotel that was close by was really, really pricey. So I saved a lot of money by going with Circus Circus, and I don't really have any major complaints. The room wasn't great. It was not bad either, though. It was pretty dimly lit in the room itself, but it was definitely the kind of room where you want to just be in the room to sleep, ideally. The bathroom was fine. The tap in the base, like the sink in the bathroom, didn't seem to have hot water. That sounds ridiculous, so I'm sure there was a way to make it do hot water, I just didn't find it, but I didn't have any hot water on my trip there, so I shaved using the bath, such is life. Shower was fine in terms of pressure. I never ran out of hot water or anything. The air conditioning was fine. All of it was fine, right? And the room was really cheap and really close to the venue, so I'm happy with Circus Circus. One thing I really like about Circus Circus is, and Slots of Fun as well, very much so Slots of Fun, is that because Circus Circus, the casino really looks like how I picture a casino in my head. So like, a lot of casinos, both globally and on the Strip, they're really sort of upscaling these days because, a lot of their money comes in from big wealthy people who dump a shit ton, right? So they want to look fancy, they want to look swish, they don't want to be tacky themed casinos anymore, right? So they're getting rid of all the silly tacky carpet with that looks like this but black and neon. They're getting rid of the circus themes and stuff like that, and they're putting up Fontaine Blue, which is just the theme is that it's rich, right? And it makes me sad because, in my head, from movies and from my grandma's stories and photos as a kid, like, I picture Circus Circus. And Slots of Fun. Slots of Fun is an attached little, mini casino next to Circus Circus, which is based on Old Vegas. So it has the most tacky carpet. It has exclusively coin-operated machines. It has $2 hot dogs. I love it there. That's exactly what I want. I didn't do any gambling at Slots of Fun, so I guess it's my fault if Slots of Fun gets knocked down, right? But that's what I want. I want that fun, silliness, right? I don't want to be fancy and feel like I'm dropping $7,000 in 2 hours, It's nostalgia for a time I only ever experienced through movies and my grandma's stories, But it is very much a real nostalgia. So that first day in Vegas, I fell asleep way too early. I was still pretty jet lagged at this point, and so I also woke up way too early. So I spent a lot of that time wandering around Circus Circus and Slots of Fun, taking some sort of late night, early morning photos. I'm pretty happy with some of the ones I got. I'm definitely, just an amateur for sure, with a very entry level camera, which you're looking at me through right now. So it's fine, it's definitely above just a phone camera, but I'm not a professional or anything. I tried to ask around if anyone wanted to do any 4 a.m. drinking. No one got back to me, but I did end up getting together with some friends later on to go for a breakfast to Seal's Bagel Mania, which was just outside the convention center. I really liked it there. I ended up liking the food there so much that I pretty much, as soon as I landed back in Perth, I hunted down a Jewish cafe so I could go get some blintzes. I had the everything bagel with a chive schmear, and I had some blintzes, as I just mentioned, with mixed berry sort of jam stuff. It was all delicious. It was super filling as well. I only barely managed to eat all of it. And I mainly just forced myself to because of how tasty it was. So I don't think I ate anything else that day. I think I just ate that big breakfast. So there you go. We all went down to badge pickup together, just a group of us friends. It went really quickly. The line was absolutely massive, but it kept moving. It was just... They had almost like a separate person for each fucking letter of the alphabet for names this time. So that was a big improvement on last year, where I infamously complained about the fact they just sort of grouped letters together just by the alphabet without any thought about the density of names starting with each letter. So I was stuck in like the S to V queue or whatever. So everyone who starts with S and everyone who starts with T is in the same fucking line. So we're there for ages. And I'm just sitting there like waiting and waiting and waiting. And then someone just goes up to the front of the A to F line and is like, yeah, I'm such and such. And then they leave. And there's an empty line there. And then someone just walks up and they go, oh, yeah, I'm such and such. It was really fucking annoying last year. But this year, you're very well done. Big props there. Water situation got worse, but bag got better. Badge pickup. Rather got better. So I got my badge. I retired back to Circus because I was, a bit stuffed. And I wanted to just lie down. I also grabbed a comically large frozen margarita, which is what you do in Vegas, because you get the bottle for expensive, but then it's really cheap to refill. I was thinking about doing a buffet dinner that night. I didn't end up doing that. I just sort of window shopped, walked around a bit, relaxed in the pub, drank more frozen margarita, and then fell asleep. So Evo Day 1. I went to Suns Out, Buns Out at Resorts World for breakfast. It was a fried egg sandwich place. America seems to sort of do that a bit, right? Where they've got a restaurant and it's just like a hyper-specific theme like that. Like, I wouldn't have thought you could do a fried egg sandwich place specifically. Like a fried egg place or a sandwich, like a breakfast sandwich place. Those are both things I could picture, but a fried egg sandwich place specifically seemed like a lot. But they were good. They definitely did good in what they specialized in, right? I had this short rib sandwich with the over medium egg, and it was good. It had like a sort of a lightly spicy sauce in it as well. It was nice. Little pricey, but obviously it was the short rib one. I could have got just the bacon and egg one, and I'm sure that would have been good as well. That was a lot cheaper. Bagel Mania didn't exist. I probably have gone there for breakfast exclusively, and I probably should have gone there for breakfast more because Bagel Mania ended up being packed. So I'm sure this would have been less people in it, but you got to add a little leeway as well for the strip in terms of pricing. So I'll probably go there again next time if it's still at the convention center when I go next. So the tournament we already mentioned. You already know how that goes. So right after I got kicked out of Street Fighter 6, I just walked. I beelined straight out of the venue. I was in a haze. I walked straight back to Circus. I filled up my frozen margarita, and I just kept doing that for a bit. Eventually, the guy running the bar was like, "Wow, you're really filling these up quick, huh?" And I was like, "That's a sign to stop. I should not do this anymore." So I had a little lie down because of how much frozen margarita I had to drink at this point. I fell asleep. I woke up at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and so I went to the Circus bar and I bought a hot dog and some beer. The hot dog was definitely too expensive, but it was pretty alright taste-wise. I forget in America they use bratwurst a lot for hot dogs, even though they make all those jokes on Twitter and stuff. I forget. So I was caught off guard a little bit for that. But it's a 24-hour hot dog at the casino bar, so like I can't really blame the price. It was like $7 or something for the foot-long hot dog. But like, where else am I gonna go for the foot-long hot dog? They've got me in a vice. If I want the hot dog, I gotta get it there. That was my only option. The only issue I had is what was these chips? Like, in Australia you could get away with that pun, I think, because we say chips and chips for both chips and fries or crisps and chips or whatever you want to say, right? We say chips. So, like, I feel like it's a pun they were going for in Australia, but instead they got chips and not fries. So I was just looking at it, I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, so I guess that's the main aspect that I'm annoyed at Circus cutting corners for on this $7.77 hot dog, but whatever. So day 2, I went back to Bagel Mania for breakfast. I forgot to take a photo this time, but I got an everything bagel with a chive schmear and a blueberry bagel with a strawberry schmear, just the 2 bagels, because I didn't, like, the place was completely fucking packed, first of all, so I couldn't get the blintzes this time. I needed something to go. But the bagels were good. I definitely went there with the intent of getting the bagels, regardless of it being packed or not. So tournament, Artis Alley, you all know how that went. The day ended with the 50 minutes for round 1 of VSAB, so I left the venue just completely starving, so I had to go to Burger King for dinner. I didn't take photos, because, it's Burger King, you all know what Burger King looks like, or Hungry Jack's if you're one of my Australian viewers. And, yeah, I was going to go to Macca's, but it was too far away, and the Popeyes, the line was too long, so I ended up at Burger King. Yeah. So, finals day of EVO. I guess I don't have many photos of all of you day 2, huh? Anyway, yeah, final day, you've all heard how it was a massive cock-up. There were nowhere near enough seats in the venue. So like everyone had a ticket for the arena if you bought Evo sign up at all. And pretty much everyone just went to the arena and stayed in the arena. So not many people were getting in. There was a line that was like the length of the venue to get into the arena. And I got to question the people getting into that line. Like, what do you think, you know? You're queuing up for this like kilometer long line. You're like, I'm going to get into the arena. But even if you didn't go for the arena line, there just weren't enough seats in the venue. People were stealing seats from like the casual setups and stuff, and there still weren't enough seats. So everyone was just pissed off at this point. People were having to stand to watch the finals that they paid to watch, and people who want to play casuals that they paid to play. No one's happy. So stuff definitely needs to be done about that. I don't know what the best option is. Maybe they should... I don't want them to go back to the finals ticket, but if that's the only way to make the arena work, is just making it pay to enter again, then I'd like that, you know? But they've got to do something, right? So I got there early. I won my button instead of the Wolves, and then I went for brunch with some friends at Peppermill, which was a diner nearby. We sat for a little bit in their like attached bar while they found us a table. The bar was really cool. It had just like these bisexual lighting that my phone couldn't really capture properly at all, but it was really cool in it. So at Peppermill, I got the pancake combo with scrambled eggs, bacon, and sausages. Because I saw that and I was like, that's American. That's so fucking American. I have to do this really American breakfast while I'm here. It was solid. It was $28, so it was a lot, but it was a decent amount of food. Not $28 worth of food, but it was a decent amount. The sausages were nice and really peppery. The bacon was crunchy without like being burned, so you know it was good. But the main draw was definitely the proximity of the venue here as well. This was just slightly further away than the bagel place, and not as packed. And we just got to sit down for a while, have some drinks. Good drinks as well, though, I should say that. Unlike the bagel place, good non-alcoholic venue, so... I don't know if I'd go there again, though. Like, $28 for this was a lot. And pancakes, you can't really make them too stand out. And these ones, you know, weren't... You have to go, like, the extra mile to make pancakes stand out. And these ones just weren't that. They were good pancakes, but they weren't stand-out pancakes. So. But maybe I'd just get something different. My friends had some different food. Their food seemed good. Maybe I just get something else. I don't know. Depends if it's even at the Creature Center again, right? But I mean, I'd consider it. Your options for stuff right by the venue is pretty limited, so we'll see. So a bit later, I came back to the venue for Street Fighter 6 finals. I really just mainly wanted to see Terry stuff, like live in the venue with everyone. But that ended up being just fucking nothing, right? It was just like the World Warrior, the World Tour trailer for it, right? And I don't give a shit. So I was a bit sad about that. I did want to watch top 8. I mean, top 6. Well, can we go back to top 8, please? Top 6 is ridiculous. I swear, every single top 6 I've watched at EVO last year or this year, the people who were in losers lost. Because they're fighting someone who's already played that in that tournament, right? When you're in top 6 losers side, you haven't played yet. But the person that you're fighting down from winners, they got knocked down from winners. They just played. Like, you're getting iced. It's a really awful situation. I feel so shit for everyone who loses in top 6 losers side, right? Like, you've seen people do well in top 8 losers before. Not top 6 losers, I feel. I'm sure there's been a top 6 that I didn't watch where someone did well from losers side, but like, I was cheering for Nemo, basically just on the basis of he's in top 6 losers, right? Go back to top 8, please. Like, I don't know, man. Like, surely with the 3 days of convention, now you've got time to fit in all your ad breaks and stuff, right? I know they're scared of going over schedule, but like, a top 6 just doesn't feel good. They've got to do something about it. But yeah, then anyway, the situation in the venue was shit. There just wasn't enough chairs. There wasn't enough space in general. Audio wasn't particularly great. It was cool to be in the venue for the EVO announcement, like the EVO 3. I'm really excited for EVO Singapore. Obviously, it's right next door. So 2026, I'll definitely be at EVO Singapore. But yeah, it was not great. So I left after Nemo got knocked down, and I just watched the rest from my hotel room on my phone with frozen margarita. So yeah. One other thing as well that reminded me is there was bars in the venue this time. When it was at Mandalay Bay, you couldn't have alcohol. They told you not to have alcohol inside the venue. People tried to sneak it in anyway, and to varying degrees of success. But there was definitely not a bar in the venue. So I was like, oh, you know, I'll buy an overpriced drink here just to reward them. So I got a Jack and Coke at what I thought was a ludicrous price, and then they charged me for the Coke on top of the Jack. And I was like, right, well, I'm not doing that again. So that was only one drink in the Evo hole. So, you know, I can't believe they charged me for the Coke. I already thought they were nickel and diming me. Oh, ridiculous. But yeah, so that was the end of the Evo bit here. After I left to go home, to go back to the hotel. So yeah, I mean, it was 3 days of convention. It basically ended up being the same as previous years, where it was 2 days and a finals ticket, because I wouldn't buy the finals ticket, right? I'd just watch from like a restaurant or whatever. And it kind of ended up being that here as well. I spent a decent amount of time in the venue on day 3, but like not a lot. And so I think they really need to work on that. If they're going to include the arena in your ticket, they need to do something about that, you know? And even without getting an arena seat, you should be able to watch in the main hall, right? Yeah, they need to work on that. So after that, I went to bed in my hotel room, ready to start the rest of my the non-fighting game bit of this holiday. So one minor issue hit me when I woke up on Monday. I had an absolutely killer migraine. The pain in my head was so intense that I actually threw up twice before I ate or drank anything. So it was just spitting out water. It was really painful. I was really upset because, like, you know, I just suffered through Evo, and I was like, well, I'm excited to go to the Hoover Dam. I'm going to do all this cool, fun tourist stuff, and then I woke up with a migraine and was like stuck in bed, right? So I'm asking around, you know, if anyone on Twitter is still in Vegas and can grab me some pain meds. And someone is like, can you get the Uber Eats? And I was like, that sounds completely ridiculous. And so I opened Uber Eats, and sure enough, Wolverines is on Uber Eats. Okay, so I got my Advil delivered. This big chunky bottle. That was probably way too loud. Sorry about that. It's just the biggest bottle of Advil I've ever seen in my life as well. So that was cool. I just downed a bunch, drank a whole bunch of water, napped a little bit on my bus to the Hoover Dam, and I was ready to go. So I checked out a Circus as well that day. Left my luggage there. That was kind of what motivated me to push through the migraine. The fact that I had to leave the hotel anyway. So I went with Comedy on Deck tours to the Hoover Dam. I think I definitely recommend them. We stopped by the Welcome to Vegas signs. We get a photo there. The tour guide, he knew a lot. It was pretty funny. His jokes definitely got a little repetitive in terms of raunchiness, but you know, finding his job as tour guide here. Not comedian. Yeah, the place we stopped for the free included lunch was pretty good. And they got the Circus, so I was happy with that. The Hoover Dam itself was just an incredible sight. We went on the bridge above as well to get a view from there, and it's absolutely massive. And like the amount of water that it's holding back is massive, and you sort of wonder like, wow, how the hell did they build something like this back then? And then you hear about, like, first of all the technology they had to invent, or like techniques they had to invent, they had to do it. And then you also hear about all the freaking ridiculously insane risks they took to build it, and how many people died because of that. And you're like, oh yeah, right, this was that sort of period. But it's still awe-inspiring, right? you have to think about it in that aspect as well. It is still awe-inspiring. It was very, very bright and windy as well, so you can see me look like I look like an idiot in a bunch of these photos. So when I got back to Vegas, I got my luggage from Circus, and then I went to Caesar's Palace. So Caesar's Palace, my grandma used to tell me stories about Caesar's Palace. My grandma went to Vegas a decent bit, so Caesar's Palace was where I wanted to stay, but it was never close to Evo, and I was never in Vegas long enough, and I never got to experience this luxury, you know. And I was thinking, man, I really hope. The pandemic was what inspired me, because I was like, I might not get a chance to go to Vegas again, you know, if stuff like this just keeps happening, you know. So I've got to make sure that I can go to Caesar's Palace and stay there, and so I did. I stayed at the Palace Premium Room. It was basically a suite. It was massive. It had a separate shower and tub in the bathroom, 2 sinks, a separate toilet room, and the tub was a really deep jacuzzi, so I could fit like my entire body in it by like leaning back on the slant. I couldn't fit my entire body flat, but I could fit my entire body in the water, and that's the important bit, right? It was so luxurious. Because of this, I pushed through the migraine. I'd gone to the Hoover Dam. I was staying in this ridiculously opulent room. I decided I wanted to spend all my money on a steak. So I asked around, got a recommendation from a friend of a friend, and so based on that, I went to the SW Steakhouse at the Wynn. I made a reservation for one person, and then after making that reservation, I realized they had a dress code. So I had to rush down to the Forum shops and buy myself a nice shirt. Not this one. This is not my nice shirt. I could have got away with this one, I think, but I'm a little upset at myself that I didn't think to pack a nice shirt, because I did have a lot. I didn't have to spend money, but, you know, can't complain. I do like the shirt. It's not like I had to buy a shirt that I didn't want just to get in. I did buy a shirt I wanted. And the steakhouse was so good. I think it was probably the best meal of my entire life, not just the best meal of the trip. So there was like 3 people waiting on me the whole trip time. So I just had constant water. I never felt in need of anything. One of the waiters recommended I start with the short rib ravioli as my entree, using entree correctly here, not how they use it in America. And there was some complimentary bread as well, with like a garlic butter kind of thing. And they were both delicious. Like, this wasn't a bakery, this was a steakhouse, and yet this was still maybe the best bread I've had in my life. Kind of ridiculous, right? Like, if this was the meal, I would have just been happy with that, but this was just the entree to the steak. So I got the boneless ribeye from 4 Sixes Ranches. I got that medium rare as my main. This was about $95 US, I think. So, yeah, this was much more than I would ever consider spending on a meal. But I was in Vegas. I was staying at Caesars. I wanted to do this. I got it with peppercorn sauce, and I got some maple glazed smoked bacon on the side. Now, just quickly here, the bacon, I will say, was a bit disappointing. Part of this was my own misconceptions. So they had on the menu, they had like a for your steak section, right? And one of the options there was maple glazed bacon for like $18 or something. And so because it's in a section of for your steak, the way I pictured it was bacon rashers on the steak, right? And so I ordered it. I was like, on the steak, could I get the maple glazed bacon? And the waiter says to me, oh, it's not actually on the steak, it's a separate side dish, and it's quite thick bacon. And so because of the misconception of it's going to be on the steak, I was still thinking of rasher bacon, right? And so like, oh, it's on the side, so I'll just put it on the steak myself. And I was like, no, that's fine. But it's not. As you can see in the photo, it's very much like Christmas ham style bacon. It's very thick. So why am I complaining? Because this is a good amount of bacon for this price at this fancy restaurant. It just didn't meet the taste quality of everything else. It was like the kind of maple glazed bacon that I would make. And, you know, I'm happy with my own cooking skills, but not when I'm spending this kind of money at this kind of restaurant, right? You know, I was expecting it to meet the standard of the short rib ravioli, of the bread, of the steak, not the steak itself. It could never meet the quality of the steak itself. That's unfair. But I was expecting better than what I got. So I didn't finish the bacon. I would not get the bacon again. That's me. The steak, though, was fucking phenomenal. The steak was so good. It was perfectly cooked. The meat was so good. The peppercorn sauce was so flavorful. Like, I'm soaking up the remainder of the sauce after the meal with the bread. It was so good. I've been to a couple of fancy steakhouses in Perth as, like, you know, offers comp meals, right? I've never paid for it myself. But all of them I've been to have been, like, they've been good, but not anything I'd ever even consider spending on money myself, because they felt way overpriced. They felt like they were just places that existed for businesses to spoil their office workers, right? It was like a, congratulations, here's your steak. I never really thought like, oh, you know, this place I've got to go back to sometime. You know, this place was expensive, but it was really good. But this was worth every single dollar of the 95 American I spent on it. I definitely think I'll go back again, assuming I'm not broke next time I go back or anything, right? But it was so good. It was just so good. And the venue as well. The restaurant itself was really pretty. They had like a waterfall, in a big garden kind of area. It was really nice to look at as well. So after I've had my steak, I've taken a photo around, the wait staff are like, well, why don't you just take a look at the dessert menu? And I'm like, no, I'm full. And they're just like, just take a look. There's no harm in taking a look. And I'm like, oh, I know if I'm going to take a look, I'm going to get something. But I'm not coming to a place this fancy again. I should do the dessert while I'm here. So I ended up getting the creme brulee for dessert, because creme brulee is very Vegas, you know. If you go to Vegas, you're gonna be having creme brulee a decent bit, I feel. It's an iconic Vegas meal, so I ordered that. And it's also, I think, like easier to eat on a full stomach than like cake or something that's very, you know, very full on, you know, very thick. Creme brulee is, you know, like, I don't know if I'm making any sense here. I don't know if this is just me being an idiot, but it feels like it would be easy to down creme brulee when you're full. And I will say here, I was just full. I was not like, if I eat another bite, I'm gonna get nauseous. You know? I was definitely gonna stop if I got to the point of nausea. But the creme brulee was really good. It was really good. The only issue was that when I tapped it, it didn't do the cool like full crack thing. It just kind of, I tapped it like a little bit and then it just went in. And I was like, oh, where are my endorphins from the fun creme brulee crap? But it tasted really good. I was worried it was going to be like the bacon, you know, because it was a simpler thing. Maybe it would be good, but not excellent. But no, it was very good. Very, very good. I decided to walk back to Caesars after that dinner because I ate a lot. So I wanted to get some, you know, some cardio in, burn off a little bit of that, and gave me some time to take some nice photos. Pretty content with that. I had time to burn. It was a bizarre, insane guy on the walk back. He was entertaining as well. He was like bathing in the fountain at the front of the Venetian and like jaywalked and then looked as if he was daring God to kill him during the jaywalk. He like walked out, the car like stopped and he like looked up like at the sky just like confused. So like threw himself on the front of the car and like looked up and was like. So I feel like that was him being like, you know, daring God to kill him. He seemed fine though, apart from that. So yeah, then I relaxed in my nice jacuzzi tub and I went to bed. So next day I had two things planned, very loosely planned. I wanted to go to the Wicker Spoon for lunch and I wanted to do some sort of Vegas show that night. I went for a bizarre Wonderbout walk to the Cosmopolitan because I got a bit lost. I found a much quicker route on the way back. I got into the Wicked Spoon insanely quickly though. I sort of just lined up and then I got in and then right as I lined up, this massive line formed behind me. So I got in right before the rush, I guess. Lucky me. Don't really understand how that happened. Because I feel like I got, like, the place didn't just open or anything. Anyway, not complaining. So to start with, I grabbed a plate that was mostly protein and, you know, healthy stuff. Kind of pretending that I'm being healthy here. But it was also the only place in America I saw any lamb. So that was cool. It made me feel a bit like I was at home. And it was pretty good lamb as well. So we got the lamb, we got some prime rib, we got some pork spare rib, some shrimp and grits. I still don't know what grits are. I heard the name a lot. I don't know what they are though. It was pretty good. And I got some angry mac and cheese. So yeah, the Wicked Spoon is very much like a desserty, brunchy kind of buffet, right? But you know, I didn't want to just do brunchy buffet stuff. Angry mac and cheese was like the spiciest thing I had the whole trip. I got very caught off guard by that. I thought it was going to be, you know, standard sort of spice. So I just like, big shovel. Oh, and then it was really hot. And I was like, but once I adjusted to it being really hot, it was pretty good. So all that was nice. You know, not particularly stand out, but that's not what the Wicked Spoon is for. So, plate 2. We got the French toast, we got the pancakes, we got some peach cobbler, and I got a slice of Meat Loves pizza. Don't judge me for the pizza, it was on the way back, and I was like, that looks like good pizza. I should just grab a slice. And you know, you're at a buffet, that's what you do. It looked good, it did taste very good. The French toast is, and remains, my favorite thing on the Wicked Spoon menu. But French toast is a tricky thing, right? You can't do the strategy of like, I go to the buffet, I find my favorite thing, I eat my favorite thing repeatedly with French toast. Because it's just so filling. You'll get like 4 bits of French toast in, you're like, well, I'm stuffed, that was my meal. So, you sort of have to balance it out, but it's just so good at the Wicked Spoon. You really are motivated to tread the line carefully, but don't throw up. That's the main goal here, is don't throw up. It's like a puzzle game, you know, you gotta fill up the guy as much as you can, but don't throw up, except the guy is yourself. And the strawberry compote on it, is divine. The pancakes are so fluffy as well, and the peach cobbler was really nice. Like, the peach cobbler is not a dish you get in Australia, you know. It's very much an American thing. I kind of just forget about it until I go to America, but just comparing it to apple pie and stuff, it's good. Last plate, sorry, was a bit more simple. It was I think it was just salted caramel ice cream, bit of cheesecake, bit of tiramisu, bit of creme brulee. Creme brulee, it's Vegas, you gotta have it. I'm also a slut for tiramisu. It was really good as well. Salted caramel ice cream was, you know, probably shouldn't have done that. Probably should have just got more French toast. And I also probably shouldn't have done the plate of meat, to be honest. Like the lamb, I'm happy with, but I should have just had more French toast. I really should have. It's so good. The French toast is absolutely divine at the Wicked Spoon. It's so good. So I left the Wicked Spoon. At this point, I was relatively sure for my show that I either wanted to do the Blue Man Group or some sort of magician. All the magicians that I was highly prioritizing weren't available. They were on tour or, you know, just sick or whatever. So I ended up deciding to go to the Blue Man Group, with the sort of tiebreaker being that it was at the Luxor. Luxor is where I stayed for EVO 2019 and 2023. And so it felt like kind of wrong to go to Vegas and not go to the Luxor. So I was like, well, let's go to Blue Man Group. Which I guess sort of funny that I stayed at the Luxor twice and didn't see Blue Man Group while I was there. And then I don't stay at the Luxor and then I go see Blue Man Group. Again, to burn off some of this food that I ate, I decided to walk down to to the Luxor. So I went Cosmopolitan through the Aria, through Park MGM, which is now smoke-free, apparently, which is really cool. And then across the street to New York, New York. And so here in this gap, that was where I found the Hello Kitty Cafe. It was apparently a pop-up that started like 4 years ago or something, and it was just so popular that they kept it. And you know, it's all the stuff there is like it's Vegas themed in particular, right? So it was so cute that I spent way too much money there. I was already on this Sanrio side quest, and oh no, Hello Kitty fell over. I'll put it back up. I was already on this Sanrio side quest, and I love Vegas as well, so I had to do it. So I bought a hat, a shirt, and a coffee at this first trip. And then decided to keep my walk going. So I went through New York, New York, which always feels really weird to me. I feel like it feels more like a food court than a casino. Then through to the Excalibur, which is where I bought the shirt, actually, in the tourist gift shop there. And then we got to the Luxor. I sat around at the Starbucks in the Luxor for a little bit until the 5 p.m. Blue Man Group show started. So Blue Man Group, I really, really enjoyed. I don't know what I was expecting. It definitely wasn't what I got, but for some reason I just never pictured the Blue Man Group being what they were. They were fun. They were just funny with the way, like a very unique brand of humor, because they don't speak. They're doing sort of like an alien bit, you know, obviously with the blue skin and stuff. So the humor in that regard was good. The music was really good as well. It was very interesting percussion stuff. A lot of it sort of improv percussion. They weren't improving, but the instruments were improv, like, you know, the classic like hit a pipe with a shoe as you like expand it and stuff. So it was really, really good music. And the sort of like practical effects and lighting effects on the stage were really cool as well. I imagine a lot of effort must have gone in from like the technical planning aspect and stagehand stuff like that, making it all work. So it was a really fun show, and it wasn't that expensive either. I went up a tier in the seating from the cheapest ticket, because looking at the map where you pick your seat, the cheapest seats looked like not a great view, right? So I decided, well, I'll go up one. You know, I'll get one that's closer in the center. But when I got there, like, the venue wasn't that big, so I think you could have got by with the cheap seat. But like, I don't really regret getting a center view. The view was good. Like, I'd like to say next time I go, I'll go see them again, but there's just so much in Vegas that I want to do that I think doing something I've already done probably isn't going to happen. But we'll see, you know, because I did really like it. Like, saying I won't go again in this time is a compliment. And yeah, it was good. It was just a fun show. So afterwards, I walked back to Caesars. I took the correct route this time. I was still way too full of Wicked Spoon, so I actually still didn't eat anything after that. French toast was really good. So yeah, this time I went through the Bellagio doing the correct route, as I mentioned. They had the lovely fairy garden thing there. Took a bunch of photos in that as well. Pretty happy with those photos. It was difficult to do because of how many people were there, but be content. So the next day, I went to Hash House and Go-Go for breakfast. I got the bacon waffles and a latte with 2 shots of Baileys. The bacon waffles were interesting. You know, not disappointed. I tried them, but I think they were too much. I like waffles, I like bacon. I don't think I like them together. I think I've learned that. It was a lot of food, as you'd expect from Hash House and Go-Go, so you know, there's nice and filling. 2 shots of Baileys, it turns out, is how you make American coffee taste good, just in case anyone goes to America from Australia and you drink and you like coffee. Just slam Baileys in there, it's fine. It'll taste good now. So after that, I caught a bus to downtown Vegas to go check out the Bomb Museum. I'd seen a bunch of ads for it, so I was pretty interested. And, you know, I'm big into history, big into Vegas, big into organized crime. So I was really excited to see the sort of stuff they had there. I spent a little bit extra to do their sort of moonshine tasting / history interactive tour, where they built a distillery in the museum. They built it with the intent of just having it as a display exhibit, but because of how much it costs, they've decided to just start making and selling moonshine as well to try and get back some of it. And the moonshine was good. Learned a lot about the history of Prohibition era as well in that aspect. They had some really cool stuff in there. They had the actual wall that the guys were shot against in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. They had Capone's revolver, which is on loan from the IRS. Yeah, it was cool. I learned a lot. It was a fun time. There's also sort of like tangential stuff to the mob, because, you know, Vegas is so intertwined with the mob. Some of the straight history of Vegas is also mob history. So it was cool. I learned a lot. They're apparently working on the mob and pop culture kind of wing. They had some like exhibits from like costumes from The Sopranos and Breaking Bad and cases and stuff that like will be in there. So I'm gonna have to go again. Basically, I'm a sucker for Breaking Bad and The Sopranos, so I'm excited to see what they got in there. I hope they have some stuff of like, you know, here's how it was in the show, but here's some differences to real life kind of thing, and not just, you know, here's the suit that Walt Cook in kind of thing. I would still go see that anyway, but, you know, I would like more history. I like history. History is fun. So after that, I took some photos at the Golden Nugget Casino. I'm a boxer main in Super Turbo, and his stage in Super Turbo actually is at the Golden Nugget Casino. The Nin Nin Hall is on a real place from the stage, but the Golden Nugget Casino is a real casino on Fremont Street, downtown. So I took my photos there. The big nugget they have there is also Australian. It's not American, let alone from Nevada. It's Australian. So I have to do it. It's my heritage. So finally that night, I had a reservation for the Pride of Vegas, my favorite place, eating like the gods, the Bacchanal Buffet. It's kind of funny that the Bacchanal Buffet, like, even if you've got a reservation, you still have to wait in line a decent amount of time. That's just the procedure, but, you know, it's just the food's that good, people don't want to leave. It's all worth it. It's so worth it. It's a really difficult buffet to optimize because everything is so good. You don't go in there being like, all right, here's how I'm gonna get my money back, because everything just tastes so good. So my first plate, we had kung pao shrimp, roast duck, char-siu pork ribs, spring rolls, salmon nigiri, and some, it was like a special house-made roll. It was, had eel and yuzu, I can't remember the exact ingredients, but it was all fantastic. Asian food, like, I skip at a lot of buffets, because a lot of buffets have it as sort of just a filler, right? They can make the menus bigger. There are some Asian food dishes that'll be good on buffets, but a lot of them I'll skip. Salmon nigiri in particular, I am never touching at any buffet apart from the Bacchanal, because I just don't trust it. But at the Bacchanal, I was willing to take that dive, and it was good. It was good salmon nigiri. Off to the side, we had a crostini with mascarpone and apricot jam, and that was also really nice. I probably should have got more of those little things, but bread at a buffet. I never touch bread at any other buffet, but the Bacchanal is just so good that you just want to eat everything. Next plate was just from the carvery. It was a slice of prime rib and a slice of brisket with some peppercorn sauce. Honestly, the prime rib was a little disappointing. It was good. The fatty bit was really nice, but yeah, I wasn't feeling the meat of it super hard. And, you know, if you're not feeling something super hard at a buffet, you just stop. You need to go eat more stuff you are feeling, right? The brisket, though, the brisket was so good, and it was so tender. And I, like, tugged at it a little bit with my spoon and fork, and it would just fall apart. I didn't have to cut it, and it was... Oh. That's my only real regret at the Bacchanal this time, was that I didn't get more of the brisket. I should have got more of the brisket. I didn't. I'll learn from my mistakes next time. So next, I grabbed this little hamburger slider. It was pretty good. I got a taco, I got the Mexican hot dog, and I got a garlic bread knot. The hot dog, I think, was my star dish from last year. It was still good this year. I think the brisket overtook it, but it was still just, you know how I'm feeling on the day, right? It was still good. The taco didn't quite agree with me, unfortunately. It was good, but it just wasn't quite feeling it. And yeah, the hot dog was actually, the hamburger, sorry, was actually pretty nice as well. Sort of more standard-y hamburger. Can't say standard hamburger, there's such a range of hamburgers. Standard, like, upper mid-range hamburger, I guess. So last plate was, well, I actually got another plate after this that I've got to take a photo of, but it was just repeat desserts. The dessert plate. So I'm going to try and remember everything here correctly. So we've got the creme brulee ice cream, we've got cookies and cream ice cream, we've got normal creme brulee, we've got a lemon meringue tart, we've got a berry cheesecake, we've got banana cream pie, we've got, I think this is like it was like Vietnamese coffee pudding. I can't remember the exact name. It was Vietnamese coffee and it was like a solid dessert kind of thing. So I think it was a Vietnamese coffee pudding. And of course the tiramisu. But at this point I was in heaven. I was just completely gone. I was like, whoa. It was like the Key and Peele Continental Breakfast sketch, you know, like, I'll have what I'm having. kind of thing. It was so good. Only regrets, couldn't eat more, didn't get more brisket. Next time I will get more brisket. So then I went back to bed. I passed out basically immediately from just a food coma. Because I was staying at the Caesars, so I just like went straight back up the elevator. It was so convenient. So then my final day in Vegas, I realized at this point that I'd promised my mom I'd get her a hat pin, because she'd given me some points so that I could get the flights, those ridiculous Perth, Adelaide, Sydney, LA flights. And I just realized I hadn't got her a hat pin. And I didn't have like a lot of time to explore for just a hat pin, but I wanted to ensure that I got her something cool that she didn't have. So I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna do? And that's when I remembered. Somewhere I'd already been where I could get her a cool hat pin. So I went back to the Hello Kitty cafe. I got her this neon sign at night. Welcome to Las Vegas with Hello Kitty. Very cute. I'm a big fan. I hope she'll like it. I got a coffee. I got a Kuromi ube cup. It's like one of those, like, it's like a cupcake. Not a cupcake, but like a cupcake. A cake in a cup. And you go all the way down with a spoon and you pull up. You get all the flavors. And it was really nice. It was really nice, actually. Only $9. I thought it was a bit small. Just looking at it, that ended up being a pretty good size, I think. And it was cute. There was a little Kuromi on it. And then I got the 2 plushies. So I spent way too much. I probably shouldn't have spent that much, but I did. So, you know, such is life. I wandered around a bit more. I went back to the Luxor. I got some chips as souvenirs. One's from Caesars, one's from the Luxor. The camera's not focusing on them. Just little $1 ones. And then I needed to do something with the rest of the day. So I went to the Flamingo to play blackjack. Flamingo was the only one of the Caesars casinos I could find that had a $15 minimum blackjack. Caesars only had $25 minimum, for instance, and I was like, well, I can't play $25 minimum. I'm doing this to kill time, so I need to be doing the cheapest I can, right? Without going off the strip. I'm sure if I went to like the Sahara or South Point or something, I could have got like $2 minimum blackjack, but $15 was fine. I like the Flamingo. It's the oldest casino in Vegas, which I learned at the Mob Museum. So that was interesting. And they killed the guy who was in charge of building it because he was spending too much on building it. So yeah, I was up $30 at one point in blackjack. But I was like, well, if I cash out now, I've still got like 40 minutes to wait for my bus. So I'll keep playing a little bit. And then I ended up minus $105. Whoops. Can't help being a Gemini, or whatever it is. But I had fun. You know, I wasn't spending to make money. I was spending to have fun and kill some time. And everyone on Discord was like, no, Paris, don't go play blackjack. You know, you're just going to lose money. And I'm like, I know I'm going to lose money. No, you were warning me, oh, you're going to lose money going to the Blue Man group. That's going to even a worse rate on return than blackjack. I was doing this to have fun and get some free drinks. And that's all that matters. I had fun. I got some free drinks. I didn't spend more than I wanted to. It was good. So I go back to Caesars. I get my suitcases. I go to the bus pickup point for the Greyhound. And remember how I said I thought the worst thing that Greyhound was going to do was going to be my ticket on this bus? So the bus was 2 hours late. This stop for the bus is just on the side of the street in Vegas, on the Strip. It is scorching hot. It was, I think, 44 degrees, and we were basically in direct sunlight the whole time. I went through almost 2 liters of water. The last bottle, as I was drinking it, tasted like I boiled it. Like I distilled it, kind of thing, right? It was so hot. There was an old lady there who was meant to be on a bus that was 2 hours before, and they cancelled that one and moved it to this. So she'd been waiting for ages. Thankfully, not entirely out on the street. She'd gone into like the shopping center nearby, but she didn't look like she was doing great. I was really worried she was gonna faint. Thankfully, she hung in there. I helped her get her stuff on. I helped her get on the bus, kind of thing. And she seemed okay once we got in like the air-conditioned bus. But like, you shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to make people wait 2 hours on the side of the street in Vegas. Because like, we don't know if the bus is gonna show up. We can't leave to go get water. We can't leave to go take a piss. Because if the bus shows up while you're not there, you're stuffed, right? So I feel like in a fairer country, customers would be served compensation for something that ridiculous, but not in America, I guess. So finally, I get back to my hotel in LA after ages of waiting for this bus. We also didn't get to get proper dinner at Barstow because we were so late that everything had closed at Barstow. So, fantastic, right? So I made it to my hotel. I was staying at Hyatt Place, LAX, because I wanted to stay at a hotel that was close to LAX for my last night, right? Because I want to be able to leave my luggage at the hotel and then come back and just get it and go straight to the airport. I don't want to have to go somewhere and then go back to my hotel and then go to LAX. You know, I don't want to do all these loopholes. I just want to make it simple, right? I'm getting older. I've got money. I want to just make my holidays as simple and stress-free as possible, right? I don't want there to be any panic about making it to the hotel. So I picked a hotel that's not near anything except the fucking hotel at the airport. And it was decently priced. It included continental breakfast, which was pretty good. They had French toast. But the windows in this hotel are fake. There's curtains, there's wall behind them. So I woke up and I'm like, wow, it's still really dark. You know, I must have woken up way too early. But I decided to check my phone just to see if anyone had messaged me back in Australia or whatever. And it's 9:30 a.m. and I'm like, why is it so dark at 9:30 a.m. in California? I'll check the curtains. So I moved the curtain out of the way. Wall. I'm like, well, that explains why it's so dark. So for someone who's in a time zone now 16 hours different from my home time zone, you need sunlight to determine how to wake up, right? So the lack of sunlight just completely fucked me. So I'm not staying there next time. So after that, I had to go have In-N-Out. I hadn't had In-N-Out this trip, and there's one right by LAX, which is really cool. So you get to like, you know, if you go outside with your meal, you get to, you know, watch the planes land and stuff. They're really close. I've never seen a plane land that close before, so that was actually really cool. And In-N-Out, of course, is just such a great value still. I know people will be like, well, it's not the best burger. I know it's not the best burger. It was like $10 though for the burger, the fries, and the drink. And, you know, free refills aren't anything that special over there, but to me, to my Australian mind, it's like, wow, free drink. And they had a sugar-free pink lemonade, and it was really nice. I really enjoyed the sugar-free pink lemonade. I'm a pink lemonade fiend, and I really liked it. I got my double animal style, my fries animal style, so, you know, I know what I'm doing. I'm about In-N-Out now. I went to Santa Monica. I always make a little pilgrimage to the Santa Monica Pier because I'm a big Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines fan. Took some photos there, shopped around a little bit. There's like a toy store there that has Mortal Kombat Deception Goro figure that I'm always just checking to see if he's sold yet. So it hasn't. I guess I'll buy him eventually in 2026. I went to a frozen yogurt place in Santa Monica. I don't remember the name. It wasn't very good. It literally had like no flavor in most of the frozen yogurt, so I was very disappointed by that. Made my way back over to Little Tokyo, where bought bigger Kuromi without the Vega sign. She's very soft. I was torn between this Kuromi and like the Ninja Kuromi, but this Kuromi was so soft, so I made a decision to go with her. So yeah, she can see in the picture now. Yeah. So yeah, I got her from the Sanrio store. And then I had my final meal at Narugame Monzo Udon. Friend accidentally called it Manzo, and now I keep trying to say Manzo as well. Monzo Udon. I got the mapo tofu udon. It was really good. It was much better than Daikoku ramen. Had a little bit of heat, as you expect from mapo tofu. Not very much, but that's not the point. It was very flavorful. The noodles were good. The broth was good. I was a big fan. There was a huge queue to sit down as well, actually. A little bit smaller than Daikoku normally has. But it was a pretty big queue, so I was like, man, you know, after I've been burned on Daikoku, I hope this is good. So I write my name down on the wait list. Waitress comes out to check. She looks at the list. She comes over and she says, "Would you be happy sitting outside?" And I say, "Yeah, sure. You know, I just want to sit and eat." She goes, "Okay, cool. Right this way." So I basically just just showed up and then sat down, despite the line. So I'm like, all these people just don't want to sit outside? Like, that's insane, right? So I'm sitting down, I'm looking at the menu, and I'm like, maybe their alcohol license doesn't cover the front of the restaurant. Maybe they only can serve liquor inside the restaurant. So the waitress comes over, she's like, can I get you anything to start? And I'm like, yeah, can I get some takoyaki and a pint of Asahi? And she's like, sure. And so I'm like, well, there goes that theory. So I have no idea. I don't know why people didn't want to sit outside. I'm not complaining. I got to sit, I got to eat. I was really happy with it. It was a really good meal. I would like to go there again, I think. Just odd, isn't it? Is it just me? I don't know. I was pretty content sitting outside. It was like 26 Celsius, a little windy. It was basically just a perfect day. It was like the actually optimal day to be sitting outside as well. So yeah, then I went back to my hotel, I got my luggage, and then I checked into the world's worst airport. LAX just fucking terrible. I've decided next time I go, I'm gonna do my absolute best to get into the Corners Lounge there, so that I don't have to, like, I can get there early and not have to deal with LAX just being shit. And I want to use the business check-in line as well, because they don't have self-baggage drop at LAX. It's bizarre. It's such a weird airport, just like how backwards it is, I guess. And it's so fucking big, and there's so many people. Anyway, it's just terrible. So then I flew back, Perth, LA, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth. One of my flights got delayed. I ended up being in an airport or on a plane for about 31 hours, I think, on the way back. Absolutely terrible. Once I'm done saving for this mortgage, I'm not going to have to do stupid flight routes like that again, so that'll be good. Looking forward to that. Just normal flights. But yeah, it was, apart from the flights, apart from Greyhound, it was just a fantastic trip. Now looking back, now that I'm not in the moment of the salt of EVO as well, I can say EVO was a pretty solid event. I have the complaints that I mentioned already, but it was fun. I got to see friends, I got to shop around a lot, I got to play some cool demos. It was cool. There was a lot of space for casuals as well. I didn't utilize it probably as well as I should have, but it was really cool. And Vegas is still just, I think, my favorite city on earth. It's either Vegas or Singapore. So EVO 2026. I think I'm going to try and do 3 VO in 2026. I think I'm going to try and do EVO Japan, EVO Singapore. I know that's going to be expensive, it's going to be difficult, but I think it'd be really cool. They're all in places I want to go, and it would be really fun to say I did 3 VO. I did the EVO hat trick. So I'm going to try. Not the point of the video. I think my main regret is just that, I have finite time in Vegas. I didn't get to do a magician show, I didn't get to do a burlesque show, I didn't go to a celebrity burger joint. That was a big one, actually. Because that's a very Vegas thing, the celebrity restaurants, right? And I kind of forgot the Bobby Flay burger place was in the Caesars, like, fancy food court, upscale food court, and I forgot about it until I was leaving, and I was like, oh, fuck, I should have gone there. And I didn't have time to relax around a pool, I should do that as well. Caesars has such nice pools, and there's just not enough time to do everything in Vegas. It's a really cool city, and it's very walkable. That's the thing I like about it. That's what takes up a lot of my time, is that it's very walkable. I get to just walk places and see things, and it's cool, Because there's so much there that you're never walking in a dead zone. There's always something you can walk by and take a look at. So yeah, I'm unfortunately going to have to skip EVO 2025, but EVO 2026, I'll be back with a vengeance. 3 VO. Hope you've enjoyed this video. It went a lot longer than I expected because I kind of derailed myself a bit. Mostly food, wasn't it? It was very little about EVO in the end. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, you can find more of my content here on YouTube. I keep saying every time that I'm going to get more into YouTube videos, but there's just so much effort. So, it'll be inconsistent, but I have fun. This isn't a job, this is a fun hobby. Or you can come over to my Twitch stream where I play video games. I'm on a little bit of a fighting game sabbatical right now because EVO took a lot out of me. But yeah, we'll be playing video games there. So, if you didn't like this video, let me know in the comments so I can know what to improve on. It wasn't Kuromi's fault. That's the important bit. Kuromi was the star of the video. And yeah, either way, I hope to see you all next time. Bye-bye!